Are um,
Hey, Ben.
the thrill of victory, Jeff.
Oh,
The
yeah?
thrill of
Why?
victory. You just won your eBay auction.
I'm not even going to tell people what I want because I think I'm nuts.
I, I don't think that's going to have anything to do with whether people think you're nuts or not, Jeff.
I think, listen, I'm fighting my tariffs, Ben. I'm trying to buy an Ironheart Japan shirt that I know if I buy new will be insane. In fact, I don't even think they make this version of the shirt anymore. Anyway, I won it on eBay. eBay is my favorite place to buy
Jeff, let me ask you a question.
menswear.
We had a early in this culture club conversation when it was on Clubhouse back in the bad old days of COVID lockdown. We had a conversation with Virgil once where we were talking about essentially the beginning of the fewer better, what is enough, how much is enough kind of conversation. And I made a comment that has proven to be totally wrong at the
Oh,
time,
yeah?
which was, oh yeah, which was I think I have enough stuff. I've accumulated enough stuff in my wardrobe that I never need to buy anything ever again as it relates to like clothes and stuff. Now, in that time, in the 4 years since then, or however long it's been, I bought a lot of stuff, more stuff than I need, I'm sure. At what point are you gonna stop buying? Because I clearly haven't
It's a
hit it my that threshold yet.
dude. I mean, like we just come. I think we come from a place where we have listen since the industrial revolution we finally have things right, like after industrial revolution we started making manufacturing, we started making a bunch of shit, and then at some point
Right.
we decided that it was cheaper to make stuff overseas, and then we get in this argument where we're trying to buy better and bigger, or excuse me, better, uh, better and better, I guess.
Fewer
the,
and
the
better.
fewer and better, and to the point you make, I also still love buying shit. It just happens that I'm just a little bit more, I mean, as you are as well. I mean, I'm just discerning about what I buy. As just as an example, today, and shout out Charlie Morgan in the UK, who I haven't
He
talked to
of
in a
he of
minute.
the heated words book.
Great book, by the way. And his book was at Dale Zine this past Tuesday
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. You did that
when
event
I did
with
that thing
Walshy,
with
right?
Walshy.
Yeah.
But like, as an example of a shirt, like I am buying another shirt, but I'm buying the same shirt. It just happens that I've grown out of that one. But at the same
Okay,
time,
got it.
today, dude, and I talked to Charlie about it. I bought a white Oxford polo Ralph Lauren piece, not even a polo piece, just a straight Ralph Lauren piece with a massive polo player like I've never seen,
Okay.
and a a chore jacket randomly. But
Hmm.
it's it for me, I don't necessarily have I don't necessarily, I also try not to buy new. I do not necessarily have an issue with buying pre-owned or
Pre-existing.
used again. Now,
Pre-existing, yeah.
I mean, look, there's things you can't avoid, dude, like contact lens solution and medications, and like, there's no fucking way I'm gonna buy that stuff used. But
Well,
I
clearly
still
used
enjoy
contact
buying
solution
things.
wouldn't really be a good
Yeah, but
idea.
Ben, you still enjoy buying things. I still enjoy buying things,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
quite
yeah.
frankly,
I
we all
guess
do.
no, my point more so is it's like I feel like there are those who have a who do it for the dopa, and I would put myself probably in
Totally.
that in that camp. And then there are those who do it as a strategic means to generate future value through a collection or an archive or something like that, who do it to generate future value through a sort of one in one out policy where you have a fixed number of things in your uh, you know wardrobe or your
You don't
collection
do
or
that? You don't
whatever it
follow
is.
the fixed matter? You don't believe in matter? You can only have so much in your closet?
No, I believe that such a thing exists in the universe, but I
Right.
don't believe that it so far it hasn't.
I'm definitely one out, one in, one out. The shirt that I
No,
just
no.
purchased prior to recording today is literally to replace another shirt in my
Well,
closet.
yeah, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna. Or my philosophy there is like, well, yes, I have outgrown it now, but I might fit it
Come
again at
back
some point in
into
the
it.
future. Yeah.
Ben, these are the things we tell each other to hold on to prized possessions that only you and I
These are
care
the
about.
things that we. By the way, Jeff, I wanted to talk about this real quick. So that reminds me of one of the lines of explanation subtitles in the zine "How to Be Fashionable or Consume Like Me," the Andrew Coulter Enright zine publication from the summer of 2003,
What?
which has been on my mind.
And Coulter made a zine?
No, no, no. Andrew Coulter Enright.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
nothing to do with Ann Coulter. Yeah, can you imagine Ann Coulter, the belle of downtown New York
Is
in
that not the best
2003?
band name? Like Coachella next season? And Coulter
And
Zine.
Ann Coultercella. Yeah, that sounds great. That's called Stagecoach. It's happening this weekend, I think.
I would
Anyway,
love to go, dude. Do you want to go with me?
like apropos of nothing, sure, of course I want to go to
Oh my
Stagecoach,
God,
but
apropos of
like,
nothing. What do you mean apropos? It's the ability to experience America, like real America.
yeah,
There's
no,
three types of
that's
America.
no. That's called the Wayne County Fair, and it
No,
happens in
Ben.
Pennsylvania, and I don't have to go all the way to California for that.
How dare
The
you, Wayne
real
County
America
Fair?
is the Wayne County
You're right.
Fair,
You're
dude.
right.
Have you
Think
been to
Wayne
the Wayne
County
County
Fair is.
Fair?
I have actually.
Big shout out to the Wayne County Fair, guys. Anyway, I mean the Great New York State Fair in my hometown of Syracuse is
Hold on,
another
stay on
one.
that for 1 second, Ben.
Okay.
Is Stagecoach, Coachella, are these pieces of America? Is this a place where you can go and experience America, or is it just a pocket of time? You know what I mean by that?
No, you can go and experience Americans. I don't think you're experiencing America.
As an example,
It's way too rarefied. It's way too specific culturally. It's way too uh it's way too curated. It's
Ben, take Stagecoach for 1 second.
okay.
Stagecoach, for those that are not familiar, which is crazy that half of America doesn't know about this, but it's almost, if not larger than Coachella, except it's
I
much more
think it is.
catered toward
I think it's bigger.
country and Western music. And then I think there's actually a third component, which is heavy metal, if I'm not mistaken. And I always forget what that one's called.
I'm not Oh,
Yeah,
a third festival?
I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but last
Yeah.
year they threw a third one.
No,
Anyway,
I think you're right. I think it's,
I my argument to you is that Coachella and the team behind it, which I believe is Golden Voice, they have
true.
done a great job of packaging in different groups of what I call American culture. One, the
Okay.
Coachella scene, right? Which you and
Okay.
I and everybody can have a viewpoint on, an opinion, and then Stagecoach, which is a wholly different animal, but just as American as Coachella could be in some way, right?
Yeah. Well,
So
it's more. Look, I would argue it's more American than Coachella because Coachella is about youth, not about like national extraction
right,
or national identity. But either way, they are both for the 1% of those places. If in real terms, they are incredibly expensive tickets. They're incredibly expensive experiences because
they
you've got
are.
to
They
go.
certainly
You've
are.
got to There's hospitality, so on and so forth. Nobody lives in these places, relatively speaking, and I say that as someone whose
Indio, California
father,
has a
whose father.
population, by the way.
Well, it does. I mean, my father works in La Quinta, which is the next town
Oh,
over.
no
It's like
kidding. I didn't know
I'm
that.
familiar with the area, but it's not a lot of people that live there, and certainly not a lot of people that are going to Coachella. Anyway, look, I think it's valid. I think it's interesting. I just don't think it's America in the way that you get it, what America really is and constitutes when you go to the Wayne County Fair, when you go to the Great New York State
Totally.
Fair, or when you go to, I don't know what,
Let's talk
the
about that for
Iowa.
a second. Do you feel like
Okay.
there is any large scale event that feels wholly American to you? Does even the World Series, I would argue, is such an international sport now, especially since the greatest living player of all time is not even American, and it's interesting to watch how at least Japan and Korea and South
Mm,
Korea are into that. So that feels American in base. But if you watch, for instance, Ken Burns' documentary at the beginning, and I apologize which writer or essayist was talking about it, but he makes the argument that the three most American things are, like jazz music, country music, and baseball. Like there's nothing else.
interesting.
Yeah.
I would.
Baseball as a sport, very American, certainly has its roots in other sports.
I mean, I think the most American sport is the one that has America in the title, which is American Ninja Warrior.
I was thinking I was racking my brain, like, where is he going to go with this? What? Anyway, American Ninja
Yeah,
Warrior,
American Ninja
amazing.
Warrior.
I'm not
All
sure,
right,
Ben,
so
if you're familiar, but American Ninja Warrior is quite popular amongst kids. They love it.
there is a parkour gym around the corner from us here in Greenpoint. So yeah,
Shout
I'm
out
aware.
Greenpoint.
Shout out Greenpoint. Oh, speaking of Greenpoint, did you see that Bond Number 9, the luxury fragrance maker, released a Greenpoint fragrance?
No, they did not.
They did. They did.
And have you
Yeah,
had a
it's
sniff of it yet? Have you had a wafting of it?
I have not. I just thought it was so funny. Hang on, I'm going to step away from the camera for a second. So fill the air. I'll be right back.
Well, as Ben does that, I hope everyone's having a great week. Listen, I think that a few things in the news that I think are interesting that Ben and I may not be able to talk about yet. But oh, he's back. I didn't even get a chance to do much. What did he bring over?
Well, I just wanted, I just in since we're doing the fragrance check-in, I just wanted to point out to you um, that I have acquired this
Oh gosh
Mountain
almighty.
Dew Baja Blast fragrance.
Tell me it's awesome.
I mean, it smells like Mountain Dew.
Ben, hold the mic for a second because I'm
And then we got that,
that
and
looks
there's
like a
the
must.
Cabo citrus. Yeah, so
That
this is a collaboration with the um, men's grooming brand Blind Barber that came out last Wednesday, and is a very funny
shout out Ben
little item.
it- Blind Barber. I mean, they were one of the they were early in New York in
Yeah, yeah. Since I mean, over 10 years.
influencing in the
Well, the
barbershop
whole,
world.
the men's grooming speakeasy nightlife entertainment situation, like,
Which, by the way, dude, it feels like it's back. You know, speaking of, we talked a little
oh,
bit last
interesting.
week about Timberland, maybe Hender Scheme and Timberland,
Oh yeah,
in their lugged boat shoe, and then this week we get Sperry launching this, which looks like a delicious brown lambskin
yeah.
boat
The rough out suede. So this is a
with Sperry.
a topsider with J Crew and Sperry. I apparently somebody told me this morning on a conference call that my name had come up a couple of times at that party
Oh yeah,
yesterday, which I thought was weird because I wasn't there. But anyway, I said, yeah, my name's in the trees. It's in the wind this week.
that's funny. I
Ben Beats, they
it's
whisper.
it has been fun watching loafers get a lot of attention. Jackson Jockamus just did the Jockamoose just did the
Jacques
just
Moo.
just did their loafer with Timberland, which also is badass, like this amazing mustard, and it's just
Wait, but
fun. Go
isn't it
ahead.
just the three-eyed lug? It's not a
It is a
loafer.
three-eyed lug. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not a loafer. It's a three-eyed
Oh, did
lug.
I call it loafer? Oh, if
You
I've been using the word loafer, I
you've
apologize.
been using the word loafer.
Let me remove that. Definitely a lug sole. Um, it's a three eyelet boat shoe. One thing I did write about last week when I covered the Grenson boat shoe in the Selectivism
Yeah.
newsletter is I don't know how it was for you, but like when I went to private school, like I could only wear boat shoes. You could wear Doc Martens as an upperclassman, but your shoe game was, I mean, you were either in a
Interesting.
Sebago, an Eastland, or a Sperry.
Interesting. I don't know. I mean, I first of all didn't go to private school, so didn't have to wear
Yes, but
any
you did
kinds of
wear
shoes.
cardigans.
I did not in high school. I didn't. I
No?
think the first time
Only
I
in
ever wore
college?
a cardigan was in my 30s.
By the way, every photo I see of you in college, you look like something out of Godspeed You Black Emperor.
What?
Yeah, it's just
What?
that.
Who? I'm not sure you're talking to me, Jeff.
Yeah,
What are
you have the
talking
glasses, the beautiful shawl, knitted, cable knit. No?
I don't know what photos you're
Okay,
talking
maybe I'm looking at the
about.
wrong photo.
Looking at a totally different person. Anyway, all right. So hold on, but let's tie it back to a second. We got onto the subject of Coachella and then this whole digression because I was saying the subtitle, one of the sort of bits of explanatory text for Andrew Coulter and Wright's zine, How to Be Fashionable or Consume Like Me, is the little things we do to seem cool to people like us, which is hello,
Like
welcome to
what?
our world.
Come on,
Welcome to
give
our
me
world.
one.
Well, okay, so the zine is full of these things, and this is all, bear in mind, like the summer of 2003 in New York, and so it's things
God
like
damn, that was a long
wear
time
your
ago.
t-shirts ever so slightly too small, like
Oof. I would
yeah.
have never. I had such a fat stomach back then. I would have never been able to do that.
I don't know. Well, either way, so
Women's
that which
jeans
was
on men.
definitely this is definitely a trend, and it was definitely what led to the whole Grover body silhouette, and then which then gave rise to the dad bod. Um, the the but the thing that's funny about this zine. So anyway, I was
Oh
thinking
shit!
about. Oh, I talked to David Michon, who is the author of Forescale, the design newsletter,
I'm not familiar with
this
it.
week for Sick Talks, and it's great. For FOR dash scale SCALE, and anyway, David and I were talking about making design mistakes, and one of my favorite um, bits of advice in How to Be Fashionable is wake up on a stranger's couch later realize it was an Eames original. And I was like, which I just thought it was such a, I mean, such a pithy little observation and bit of advice. So in referencing it in the conversation, I looked for a copy, a PDF of How to Be Fashionable. And I found it on a site called Before We Met. And so I went to I was just like, what is this? Like, what
Are
is
they like a
beforewemet.com?
zine
Like,
archive?
that's why I went to beforewemet.com. Beforewemet.com is from 2010. It is the transcription of text conversations between two people in, call it 2007, 2006, 2007, who are falling in love
Love
throughout
this.
over the course of this text conversation for 2 weeks. And the theme of it is this is all the conversations we had in the 2 weeks before we met, and then it ends with their wedding video. So it was clearly done as like a um a way to memorialize their relationship. Why it is still up 10 years later, I have no idea, or 15 years later, I have no idea.
This is so
But
cool.
it's very cute. And the thing that's really interesting about it is that the vernacular, the cultural references, the YouTube links, all of that stuff is still in it. So this would be like taking, the Culture Club group chat and then putting it online on a
Right.
website for just anyone to discover, but intended for no one to see in particular.
I love
But
this.
it's an incredible time capsule, and such a pure distillation of what young people in their 20s were doing in the late aughts.
Right.
I was really kind of charmed, and
There is something
you know
about an oral history that gets lost, or at least gets lost within two people that more of us would be interested in. I mean, look at the
yeah,
number of letters from artists. I mean, pre phone calls, how many times we sent letters to people. And thank God we have those correspondences to see between, you know, you name it, Ben Franklin and his
yeah.
5 girlfriends or whoever. But, which, by the way, Ben Franklin with is it Kurt Douglas, I believe, not the junior, on Max is well worth watching.
Oh, okay. I'm
It's
not
about
familiar.
Benjamin Franklin in France, essentially at the end of the revolution.
Okay, this is Benjamin Franklin in Paris or
Right.
something like that. I remember hearing about this. I never saw it.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. I'll
But no,
track
I
it
love
down.
oral histories. It's one thing that I kind of thrive a little bit when you can, certainly what we're looking at here is a conversation from March 23rd. But when you see a conversation like this amongst 3 people, it's always fun. It always works really well, I think, with music as well. When you get people in a room together to kind of discuss how something got put together. Ben, what's up there?
Yeah, yeah. No, nothing. Sorry, guys. I'm just, for those who are not watching, I'm looking at my bookshelf because I'm trying to find. There's a history of the alleged gallery, the art gallery in the Lower East Side, and then later Soho, and then later on Washington Street, New York, Aaron Rose's gallery, that gave rise to Barry McGee and the Beautiful Loser scene and Mark Gonzalez and all
Ah,
these
okay.
others.
By the way,
But there's an
Gary's having
oral.
a exhibit right now, if I'm not mistaken.
Who is?
A big one. Gary McGee. Barry
Barry
McGee.
McGee. Barry McGee.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but anyway, that there's an oral history of alleged gallery. It's called Young, Fresh, and Full of Hell, that was put together by now known as B. Fowler, the artist, and who worked at the gallery. And it's a great book, really interesting, but really to your point about oral histories, like I love those things too, because it puts you in the moment. Um, and the things that get remembered, the things that don't get remembered are always like a fascinating
Here's
discussion
here's
point.
a fantastic example. I'm going to show you an image. It's an image that I would say is one of maybe a handful of iconic images that I think of American punk rock or American hardcore. And
Okay.
it's this image of guy from, oh wait, where's my camera? Of guy from let me just do this so we
From
can see it.
Fugazi.
From Fugazi,
Oh yeah, yeah, sure.
in this very well-known photo of him jumping through a basketball hoop. Um, and it's a photo that I saw back as a kid. I remember
Right.
looking at this photo and having a photocopy of it. And funny enough, I don't know if it's the photographer that took it, but the showrunner, Mikey Lynch, actually wrote the forward to this book, which is a story about that actual moment. And what's cool about it, this in particular, is that it's not necessarily just a story about this one Fugazi show in Philadelphia. there are letters from Ian MacKay in here talking about his new band that's quote unquote coming together. And
Oh,
I think
cool.
so it's super interesting to see that go down. And you also get pictures of the go ahead.
Well, no, I was gonna say, sorry, as a quick digression, it just came to my mind. Did you see that a couple of weeks ago, the Getty Museum in LA acquired the archives of Raymond Pettibone?
No
Yeah,
way.
which I thought was really fascinating. So it's Raymond Pettibone, now the giant of contemporary artists, but began his career doing flyers, zines, record covers for Black Flag, which his brother Greg Ginn was in, and then also SST, the label that Greg started to
Ben, I just happen
release
to
all of
have one
that
right
music.
here.
You just happen to have a Raymond Pettibone?
I do. Look, this is a Black Flag flyer with Red Cross
Wow, that's cool. And Husker Du
and Husker Du.
in
And then funny enough, on the other side is a non-Black Flag Pettibon, which is ripped.
non Pettibone Black Flag. Where did that come from?
So this one I bought on eBay, and then this one I
Okay.
bought from Greg Rivera, who's my
Okay,
flyer guy.
sure.
And you just last one because I don't want to show too many flyers, but if anybody saw um, Decline of Western Civilization, the Punk Years, which I think is the first one, this
That
is
was the
the
first one, yeah.
Germs. This is the actual flyer from that Germ show.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which they're not too rare. There's a bunch of them around, but I'm happy to get it. The reason I
Yeah,
have
for sure.
the reason I have all of this here, Ben. Oh, I think I've lost focus. Give me a second.
I don't think anybody's here for the visuals,
There
Jeff.
we go. Sorry. The reason I have it out is for the first time this is hilarious. You know Joanne Fabrics. You know the store Joanne Fabrics? It's a fabric store similar to
Yeah.
Michael's. Well, guess what? They're going out of business.
Oh yeah.
And they were selling these amazing
They're selling Black Flag flyers.
No. They were selling like storage organizers that are the size of flyers and postcards. So for the first time, I have the ability to like look at my full collection at once. So I've got a lot of stuff out here.
Interesting.
But you know, just on that note, really quick, I want to show you one more book because I know we're on a book tip. Speaking of self-published, supporting small publishers, this is a total book up of your alley called Collected Obsession, Ben.
Oh wow, yeah.
This could only be a punk rock or hardcore book.
Well,
and it's all t-shirts.
Only a straight edge hardcore book. So the for those who didn't see it, this is CO Collected Obsession, but the graphic design is done in the style of the Uniform Choice album.
Yes, Ben, nice one.
Fuck, what's the name of the Uniform Choice record? But anyway, the I think it's just Uniform Choice. Is it just Uniform Choice? Anyway, so Uniform Choice, the SoCal straight edge band from the late 80s. And yeah, this is
so it's a great book put together
book of hardcore t-shirts. That's really cool.
I'll be honest, I don't even there's a Civ reference on the back of it, but I don't know who put this together. But this is I'm very excited that I was able to spend some time at Dale Zine because listen, New York, you guys got great bookstores.
Yeah, for sure.
We have a couple. Maybe we've got one that I can actually find something like this in.
Sure.
So
that's cool.
Support
Who published that?
Booksellers.
When did it come out?
So this was published by Underwet, maybe I'm saying it wrong.
Underwet.
Ben, I'm just going to get you a copy of it. Don't sweat it. I know they have multiple copies. Oh, look at this. So I guess this is the second edition because this is I just noticed I have a second printing, but how beautiful is the Judge piece?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So it's I'm just looking at Collective Obsession on Instagram, which has got a bunch of cool stuff on it. A bunch of cool stuff. By the way, I was riding my bike on 14th Street the other day, and I had to stop.
All right, Ben.
Tech store to get a USB cord, not a USB, like a USB-C cord. Anyway, I'm standing outside this tech store, putting the USB-C cord back in my pocket, and there's a guy standing outside the place next to it, which is like an ENT hospital.
Okay.
Big guy, older, doesn't look like he's in particularly great shape, walking with a cane, look like maybe he's waiting for some transport or whatever. And he was wearing a DYS hoodie. And I was just like, all right, that's a guy who has owned that DYS hoodie for 40 years. You didn't
even check? You didn't even go in the front and
I gave him a wave. And I was just like, oh, I like the sweatshirt. But you could just tell this is not a guy like romantically buying a reissued DYS hoodie. He was like, I was in Boston in '86, right? Like I bought this thing then, kind
There
of thing.
is a romance about. I mean, I've turned 50. There's plenty of people are our age, but
Happy
like,
birthday! When did that happen?
some time ago. But what's
Oh,
interesting,
okay.
birthdays are no big deal for me. But it's funny enough. Today I was listening to BBC Six, which is I love BBC Six radio with Craig Charles, and
Okay.
it was funny. He was talking about like things that you've lost or you shouldn't have sold. And I
Yeah.
kept thinking about you because you haven't sold a goddamn thing. Like you still have everything.
That's not entirely true. When we moved to the house, I sold some T-shirts and some stuff to Brian Procell. Um, in fact, funny enough, a T-shirt that I sold him ended up in New York Magazine in the famous Zizmore Corps um,
Which shirt was that?
article. It was a Supreme shirt from 2002, and it was a New York Apollo, like an Apollo Theater graphic. Um, and because it was it's local New York reference, it fit into the Zizmore Corps philosophy. So
Yeah, shout
yeah,
out to guys like Procell, Brian Procell,
I mean, yeah,
who
Brian's amazing.
God knows how many pieces,
Just
and
two.
his wife. Yes, I don't know how many pieces of vintage that guy's holding on to, but Jesus,
Well, I mean,
I
but
mean,
this gets back to the thing we were talking about right at the beginning, which is like, what are you accumulating for, right? Like, I'm accumulating for no particular reason except that I like stuff, and that's probably not the most sustainable strategy. It's funny. I had a conversation with a woman last night, um, who is let's call it brand consultant in the fashion space, as we all are now. But she was saying that she is the daughter of the longtime managing editor of Vanity Fair, and so we were talking about Graydon
okay.
Carter's memoir, which came out a couple weeks ago. Um, the, the and then we got to talking about my kids, and she was like, I have heard that you spend the first half of your life accumulating stuff and then the second half of your life trying to get rid of it. And I was like, I don't know. I mean, for me, I'm still accumulating, even though I'm in the second half of my life. And I think part of it is because I discovered value that was unknown in things that my parents had accumulated. And so I'm sort of accumulating, both chasing that dream and also because maybe the kids at some point discover it. The conversation made me, it came back to these moments of, when did you find something that signaled, oh, there's value here that is worth me holding on to and signifying in the future. Like
Hmm.
like when I started DJing when I got out of college, I took my parents' record collection because they didn't, nobody played vinyl anymore at that point except for DJs. And so I discovered all of this value, and I was like, oh, well, I wonder if the rest of the stuff that my parents have accumulated over the course of time is interesting or has any value or whatever it is. And of course the answer is yes. But I'm just waiting. Campbell happened to send me an email the other day, which was just like, "Do we have turntables? I think I want to learn to DJ." And
All
I'm like, "All right,
right.
fucking great." I knew I hung on to 2,000 pieces of vinyl for a reason.
And by
Just
the
the
way,
fact that I haven't played them in a long
I'm
time.
very intimate with Ben's vinyl, having slept in his vinyl room a few times. There is a lot of records. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I wake up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and I'm like, let me just see what the fuck he's got on this wall because as an example, Ben has things on his wall that I sold, and I'm like, "Ugh, I can't believe I got rid of this, you know. But no, look, I think for better or worse, I think we're in a place now where again, we talk about this a lot. Physicality
Yeah,
is
yeah.
fun. And I think people are down to, especially like vinyl. I mean, there's a thing that I would give Taylor Swift a lot of credit for this because
Oh,
the, nu-
interesting.
the
Okay.
number
I
of
can s
turntables that were sold over the last 2 or 3 years simply for girls to be able to play their
Sure.
Taylor Swift
Sure.
vinyl is, come on,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
can't fault that.
That and the marketing juggernaut that is Record Store Day too. I think
Which, by
that's
the way, is awesome, dude.
really, yeah, it's really awesome.
The Fortet Cure remixes that nobody expected. Let's talk about that for a second. Out of
I
nowhere,
haven't heard. I have to go look.
Cure's new record came out. I believe it came out last year, if I'm not
Last
mistaken.
year, third quarter.
They dropped a secret or surprise for remix album, and it includes this
Oh, no
killer
shit.
Fortet track.
Okay,
And I'll leave it there because I actually don't know the name of the track. But yeah, I mean, there's really
cool.
one other thing too, just
Haven't heard
because I
that.
spend too much on Discogs. About 4 years ago, Paul McCartney released a secret single that was and still is only available as that vinyl, and it was never put in the record store day section. It was only put in the Paul McCartney section during record store day. There's like supposedly 50 copies of this thing.
Oh
I'm not
wow,
even
really?
yeah, it's crazy shit,
How about that?
But anyway, I could talk
No,
about this all
well,
day with you.
no, I like the idea of Taylor Swift as you know, driving, propelling the turntable industry.
Thank God.
Uh, yeah. Well, anyway, it's a fun one. All right, well, Jeff, we've reached the half hour mark, so we're gonna have to call it because our commitment to listeners is that we won't take too much of their time.
We're 30 seconds over, but I do want to spend 2 quick seconds next week
Okay.
for anybody in Miami, where, of course, Possible is happening down here, which is the big CMOers festival, as I like
Yep.
to say. We'll see plenty of people. And by the way, shout out the other CMO festival, Patau, that also happens. It's based out of Miami. But anybody around Wednesday, Novella Casa, Casa Novella, Oasis Winwood, whatever we actually call our venue, you are welcome on Wednesday. We will be
That's for Breakfast Club in
we'll
Miami,
be doing
right?
a fresh breakfast club.
Cool.
And yeah, Ben, for everyone out there, please give us a follow, give us a share. If you like this episode, share it with somebody. We'd love to keep the ball rolling on our end. Any
Yep.
comments, of course, reach out to Ben and I. We're pretty easy to find. Ben, I hope you have a great weekend.
Thanks, Jeff. Likewise. Great to talk to you, bud.
See ya.
Bye.